You don't have to know the artist, you don't even have to know the song, but I'm sure when you heard it, you really felt what it means to have trust in God. Welcome once again to a very special episode of Cloud.Nine on ACTN. I'm Sheldon Yearwood, and thank you for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. And just to put in the context, that song, we put our trust in so many things, wrong things, so many people, wrong people, and we get, of course, very negative results. And it's funny, and not to be graphic about it, but we put trust in something that eventually rots and turns to dust. You ever thought about it? Now, of course, in the context of the spiritual aspect of things, the flesh, as we call flesh, is what's on the inside that's manifested here. But look at this. We do all sort of things to feed the flesh. And it is this same flesh that dies and rots and withers away. So what are we doing to feed the spirit man? What are we feeding the spirit man? Which is what's going to last forever and ever. So I just want to put that out there for you to think about, not to gross you out. But where do we put our trust? Do we put our trust in something that is temporary? Someone that is permanent. So I'll leave you with that to ponder and circulate in your cerebellum for today and the rest of the week. So coming up in the show, last week Friday, every week we have been hitting different parts of Trinidad and Tobago, to speak to you, the members of the public, about things that are happening in and around Trinidad and Tobago. Now, there has been a lot of concern about the current administration and the governance of the country. And about 2 years ago, thereabout, in the later half of 2015, as you know, the UNC would have had their internal elections for the leadership of the party. And we saw some, things were said, things were done, feelings were hurt, who cried, oh, it's going to come live, right, good. So there were those who were really, really concerned about the stripping that took place within the UNC back then. And, many have expressed concern even now that the party is still trying to rebuild its image after what happened and the things that were said. There are those who have the belief that had to happen to bring some healing within the UNC, and they are stronger than ever. So we went to the penal area, which is, one would consider one of the heartlands of the UNC, to find out from individuals there if they believe that enough has been done to rebuild the image of the party. Let's say an election were to be called tomorrow, and if people will, for want of a better term, forgive and forget, what happened while, of course, they were in power under the PP, as we so fondly know it, and if they will be successful. And it's very, you would think, because it's the UNC heartland, that, everybody been 100% saying, you know what? Put them back. We won back Kamala. Well, that wasn't really the case. It was very interesting, but you have to wait until later on for that. Coming up in our Wise Up segment, I want to touch on a very current issue as well surrounding the Sea Bridge and Tobago. The Prime Minister scheduled for a very important meeting. Let's go to our Wise Up segment now, and I'll show you a clip of one particular individual who doesn't really want to hear much of what Dr. Rowley has to say. So the meeting is at 2 p.m. today in Tobago, and I'm sure you're going to be seeing a lot more responses to the meeting, which could go, very late into the evening. But just to give you an insight, now Tobago, as you know, has been suffering for quite a while, and some of the affected stakeholders will be meeting with Dr. Keith Rowley today to express their concerns. And from what we understand, it may not be what you call, we're hoping there'll be no teacup fiasco. Right, good. So we're hoping that they will be drinking from the teacups and nobody will be pelting teacups. But from all information that we're receiving, they don't plan to mince their words, that being the stakeholders. They do not plan to mince their words on some of the concerns, particularly, again, as with the Sea Bridge and what's been happening there. Now you have allegations of corruption and mismanagement of funds. That should be the new motto for every government, plastered on the house of the Parliament building. We are here to serve, mismanage, and corrupt in the name of, well, I don't know who name, but anyhow. So, right, so that is the meeting today, and we just have to wait and see what is the outcome, right? So that's at 2 p.m. in Tobago. Demi John Cruikshank, president of the Tobago division of the TNT Chamber of Industry and Commerce, said the meeting with the Prime Minister was something the Chamber called for, and he hopes that the talks today will not focus squarely on the ferry issue, as there are other pertinent issues which affect Tobago that must also be addressed. But I can guarantee you it will be well, not mean, but that's going to be right up there in terms of priority. So, again, just have to see, as I said, I think to change the motto right now, because I really do not know. I don't know in what, is there any name? Do they even pray anymore? Some of them don't. Do they even pray? So in what name they're doing these things by? Who name? Which name? Because God ain't pleased. So we have this clip with Mr. Watson Duke a couple months back, where they were expressing, as know he's in the, of course, minority leader in the THA, amongst other portfolios that he holds, but that's a different story, where he and a couple others were expressing concern about this Sea Bridge issue, amongst other things. So we're going to go to that clip now, and tomorrow, God's willing, we're going to give you a feedback, as I'm sure all of the media houses will be, on this meeting that will be taking place in Tobago. But let's hear what Mr. Watson Duke has to say.
The Winston Murray challenge was thrown out because I wanted to see if the myriad of Tobagonians who will meet us on the street, meet us in our offices, send emails, send text messages, WhatsApp messages, comment online, be extremely critical. If today they will do like Winston Murray and stand up. And I coined it the Winston Murray challenge because Winston Murray, in and of himself, stood in moments when everyone else refused to stand. If we go back to when the House of Assembly legislation was passed, and after Mr. Robinson got angry and annoyed by the non-responsiveness of Trinidadians, and he walked out of the chambers, Winston Murray stayed put and battled it out with Trinidadians to ensure we have a Tobago House of Assembly today. And the thing about the Winston Murray challenge is not about numbers, is not about getting all of Tobago to stand, but getting Tobagonians to understand that every individual has a responsibility. Everyone must stand in their own accord and stand for themselves and stand for their families and stand for this island. This boat issue has been vexing. It has been ongoing for a while. It is something that we have been talking about since last year, since May last year. Then Minister Fitzgerald Hines said that we'll get 2 new boats. Then in November, Sinanan took over, and we are still at the same place where we were last year in May. And it shows poor governance. It shows Tobago is being taken for granted. It shows that Tobagonians are treated as outside children. And we are not surprised by that, because Rowley are accustomed to treating people like outside children. In fact, he's quite experienced with having outside children. And so treating his own Tobagonians as outside children is nothing new for Dr. Rowley. And so we are saying that we will stand just like Winston Murray. Even if it's the three of us alone, like the three musketeers, we will stand. Because sometimes, and in most cases in any revolution, you have to stand first so that people will see the way and then follow. And today is the beginning. Today is the commencement of a protest movement against the poor treatment of Tobagonians by a Trinidad central government and the nonchalant response from the Executive Council in Tobago. Today begins that day. And so this is a catalyst for all Tobagonians, from the farmers who would have joined us today, to those who are truckers, to those who are regular travelers, everyone, NGOs, the people with the parlors in the villages who will travel to Trinidad to pick up goods. You must stand just like Dr. Winston Murray. Don't let his memory go in vain, because you must ensure all of this country know that Tobagonians are people to not be taken for granted, and Tobagonians will not accept the kind of shoddy work that we are seeing being passed upon us for governance.
Are you disappointed that you are
Oh, absolutely not, because when I threw out the challenge, two things I threw out. Number one, I asked people to start gathering from around lunchtime so that we can address them before going into the house, and that we will also address them subsequent to the sitting today, because we estimate the sitting should end around 4:30. So some folks might come in at around that time. Secondly, I threw out this challenge because I wanted to see who will actually come. If the people in Tobago who are complaining and making noise and calling in on the programs and hiding behind their keyboards like keyboard tigers will actually show up, I wanted to see who will show up. And I did say in the live I did on Monday night that even if I was to stand here alone, I would have been here alone, satisfied that I am standing for that which is right. So the numbers don't faze me at all, because it's not about the size of the posse, but it's really about the size of the fight. And I could tell you, when it comes to the PDP, our fight beats all cockfights, and certainly will beat any PNM fight any day, anytime, anywhere. And so we are unfazed by the turnout, and in fact we are very happy for those who chose to stand, because we know that there are scores of people who are afraid to stand because they are afraid of victimization, they're afraid of the face showing on TV, they're afraid of being reported for going against the status quo. And so we must stand for those who are afraid and stand boldly for them as well.
So you can see you have the sports here. Sheep here, sorry.
Clearly had more sheep than James Barton.
When I pulled the gates on Monday, I did so for thousands of persons who see the vessel that transports people and cargo between Trinidad and Tobago as a means to survive. Today in James Park, you have a farmer who, having come from Trinidad to purchase $20-something thousand plus in livestock, has been rejected by those persons who have been operating the port without any criteria. I say that because many persons are left back every day in Trinidad and Tobago, and there's no criteria by which those persons are left back. Here we have a man today, over 100 sheep. Witness, evidence, saying yes. He's agreeing to that. 100 sheep. And he's being told, find some place to put your sheep. Chances are, the sheep will die in the morning. I'm mad enough to lock the gates of James Park and let the sheep inside, so they can run about and survive until tomorrow. But thank God I have a partner with a sheep farm. And Dr. Rowley has a sheep farm. So it may be better for us to take it to Dr. Rowley's sheep farm and let them loose. And by tomorrow, collect them. There's an old principle that says, do unto others as you have them do unto you. I'm asking Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, do unto Tobagonians exactly what you would like Tobagonians to do unto you. Our next protest, even self, it is me and the PDP and the Minority Council, is to wait for his arrival at Tobago Airport and shame him. Enough is enough. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. This ferry service, this inter-island sea bridge, is not something to play with. It is our lives. Farmers, mothers, school children, we depend on it. For the average Trinidadian, it's a little joyride. But for us, it is survival. Here, a man came to Tobago spending thousands of dollars, whereas oftentimes it is reversed. We go to Trinidad and we spend thousands. He has come to build the economy. And what does he get? Slap in the face. Stay back with your animals, boy. Stay back with your animals. That should not happen again. We are staying now and now and now. That should not happen again. The next time it happens, I am going to come to James Park. I'm going to let go of the animal myself. I'm going to take the charge and I'm going to pay for it. Because somebody has to stop the nonsense. And we have to act uncivilized so they could act civilized. Thank you. Furthermore, let me just say this. We are going to the house now. Relax, boy. He hasn't eaten for the day.
Wait, come on this side. Come on.
He's very restless.
He hasn't eaten since yesterday, right?
Come a minute.
So, I'm saying this now, that when we go to the house, we have as a motion of, we have moved a motion based on public importance that the House of Assembly take the reins that have been given to it under the 5th schedule and be responsible for the air and sea bridge, and the sea bridge in particular in this instance. And we are also asking that they develop a port authority for Tobago. Just as is a Tobago Regional Health Authority, let them create a port authority of Tobago. Just as King Papa Rawi is about to create a Tobago Tourism Development Company, let them create a Tobago Port Authority so we can better manage our affairs and it can act as an impetus for the many up-and-coming businessmen to get into the manufacturing sector, knowing fully well there's a port of entry and a port of exit where the goods can come and go. Alright? I'm going to try to feed this little animal here now. It's been a very good boy all day. But let me give some water. Give that water.
Hi.
Let me feed my some water. This is the only thing blue water is good for.
Yes.
And they have denied the animal that. My animals have been here whole night since yesterday. They lead this animal. Hundreds of them, they inspect them. Each of them has a name. This one, your name is Rowley.
I can't keep up now.
Somewhere downtown. Or Rowley. Pull yourself. When you cook yourself, I'll be the heat plenty free. Pull yourself.
Rowley's a pedigree pot town. That is what he is.
Alright, thank you all.
Nice one.
We are walking amongst wolves in sheep clothing. Feeling sorry for them sheep, though. So, yeah, on that note, that statement speaks volumes. Who are the wolves in sheep clothing? But what's even more interesting, we can't go back to it now, but there's a part during the interview with Mr. Watson Duke, a lady had a placard, and she has Honorable Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, we are sorry. Come back. Oh my God. So, that fitting placard will take us into our Let's Chat segment, which will be coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
The devil's the accuser of the brethren. And he hates marriage because marriage is the image of God. He hates marriage is because it's the most sacred institution on earth. God created marriage in Genesis chapter 1. It is the first institution he ever created, and it's the foundation for every other institution on earth. And he's a strategist. He understands if he can destroy marriage, he can destroy all of society.
All right, so we jump straight from Tobago back to Trinidad, and we're dealing with politics again. Let's chat, people. Yeah. For those who missed the introduction, we're speaking about the current state of the United National Congress. And, many have expressed concerns about the current state of the country and the current state of the People's National Movement's governance. And before the current go, as we like to say in Trini parlance, we want to deal with this issue and shed some light on it for you. Now, ever since the internal, where, a lot was exposed and feelings were hurt and so forth, when Mr. Munilal and Mr. Vassan Bharat and others went up against Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, there have been concerns about the healing of the party. Some have stated very clearly that they do not believe enough time was spent in the healing process of the party, and more time was spent in highlighting the missteps or falls of the People's National Movement. There are others who are saying that Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar would have done enough to rebuild the party, and a good job at that, and they are poised to sit once again in the seats of leadership to run the country for another 5 years. So, interesting enough, I say, you know what? Let me go in a UNC stronghold, as they say, and hear what the views. Let's see if everyone would agree. And interestingly, well, see for yourself. Part 1, forgive or forget. Or forgive and forget. Let's see.
Few friends and family, right? Straight away from home. We need to bring them back, hold their hands and say, every UNC, come back home. Will you help me bring them back? Will you help me bring back every UNC back home in the house of rising sun? And to Mr. Warner, I say, clear your name and come back home. But once you have not cleared your name, you cannot come back home. My government, my country is more important than one.
I was in charge of several different portfolios in the last government. In fact, I was the only government minister that was holding on to more than one portfolio. I was actually holding on to 3 portfolios, which would have been Minister of Trade, Industry, Investment, Minister of Communications, and also Minister in the Ministry of Finance. So clearly I was central to the government's development plans and programs, but the government is, and the work of the government is completely and totally different from the role of the party. And I think what has broken down are the party organs and institutions.
While they remember they all remain leaders, well, with the exception of Bharat, Munilal and their supporters, some of them remain members of the opposition and will have to work with her as leader of the opposition. So I suppose the day-to-day operation of opposing the government in Parliament will force them to work together. But I think any healing will be superficial.
We are in the heart of the penal area. This is the constituency of the leader of the opposition, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And there have been concerns by even UNC supporters in the context of if enough was done to rebuild and reshape and remold the party for a next general election. As you know, there were a lot of internal rumblings and issues that had to be worked out. And so the question we're asking today, do you believe that enough has been done to rebuild the image of the party? Let's say an election were to be called tomorrow. That's the question.
Right now, she could come back and run the country, but she was the best government running the country so far. And right now, it's trouble we've seen, boy. Real trouble there. You understand? Nobody getting work. You understand? Nothing at all. And things hard, real hard. You understand? And when she was there, every youth man was having a little work then. You understand? Getting a little work. You could have looked for a little youth man at that time. You could not get one at all. You understand? To come and do something. Now, the ones that youth man are wrong, the ones that corruption and can't think of any country.
She could do that for the children and them because she helped the children and them with the computer and thing. And because the government now they take back all the computer and thing from the little youths and them from youth getting education. And I feel that all the care start in the country because the government are doing nothing good.
I don't think so. Well, it is that she's effortless right now. You see nobody doing anything. No, we suffering in many different ways, and you see nobody coming forward to change around things or to even as much as give that kind of advice.
So it's very interesting because what we're hearing is that based on that comment, people have lost faith in both the opposition and the government of the day. So that's a very interesting comment. That's a comment that you hear by many of the populace right now in Trinidad and Tobago. They do not know who to have faith in.
Yes, thank you very much. The opposition will win 100% to me.
Why is that?
Because at the present time, the things that are going on, I feel everybody have a pinch at the time, the things that are going on now, because the country is really bad. It's really bad with work-wise, food-wise, everything. It's really bad. So I believe the UNC stand a better chance.
So you believe the population is willing to forgive and forget and give another chance at 5 years?
They're willing to forgive and forget. Most of them.
How are you, sir? You're looking all right. You're looking better than all right. You had to say you're looking blessed. That's right. How are we talking about? I like to hear that, man. Positive. That's right. So the question we're asking this morning, if an election were to be called tomorrow, do you believe that the opposition leader and extension of the UNC, that they would have done enough to rebuild the image of the party to the point whereby they could actually win an election?
I find the PLM government is doing a good job, but people don't understand the job they're doing. Dr. Rory is trying his best to make the people appreciate. Because if it has so much crime in the country, who come and invest in this country? The crime is too much. And he cannot stop the crime because it's me and you causing it. You understand? Now, if you go to church, right, you will like the congregation to be good. Just so the government is good. But it's the people. Right?
So you're saying the people of the heart of the people needs to change?
The people's heart need to change. And to change the people's heart is to enforce more laws. Right? If a man do a crime, which is murder, what should you do with him? And you know he's guilty. What do you think you should do with him? You should hang him. Because that's the law.
So basically what you're saying that right now we have to clean up the mess before we actually, in order to send a message, right?
Right.
All right. So again, we're getting some mixed responses here. Some are saying they have what it takes, enough has been done to rebuild the party. And some are saying, you know what, not enough has been done. So let's get a quick walk through. All right, let's go this way.
I really go into politics, but I think she do plenty for the country.
And do you believe that people are willing to forgive and give another chance?
Yes, I believe that she will get another chance.
Oh, well, how the thing tough these days, to the country here running good at all. The country well hard. You understand? So we had to pick out one of them between the two. You understand?
Which one you're picking?
Well, we don't really fight politics. the people have to say what it is about. Yeah, then, yeah, we don't fight.
But you believe that the country is ready for an election?
I think so, yeah, yeah.
Right now, we're in the market. We don't have any fun right now in the market here. It's hot. We have to pay rent for the stalls. And upstairs, they don't have any AC upstairs. It's real hot, and they have to pay rent.
And is this something that's normally handled from the representative or in terms of the fans and so forth?
No. Well, she's supposed to, because when the councillor was here, we mentioned it to she.
That's the question I'm asking. Do you believe that she has what it takes, despite the challenges, to be run the country once again?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because before the previous administration was going good, we had most things was in place. Yeah, a lot of things right now, like the road have big holes or things like that. While she was here, the road was smooth paved and everything was going good. Most things, was going good.
Yeah, I think so.
Why?
Eh?
In your opinion, why?
Because they're not doing anything.
Life has become difficult?
Very difficult.
How difficult has it been for you? Because you can speak from your experience.
Okay.
Straight to the point, no job.
No job, no job, no job. Then everything expensive and people can't afford to buy food to eat. So they go end up thieving.
I say you have no job, you can't get money to buy things as well. One thing so expensive, it's real hard. Yeah.
But it's over there, babe. Over expensive. We need a next government immediately. Tomorrow self.
And you believe Mr. Bissessa has what it takes to come back?
Oh God, I praying for she every minute. And anybody talk to you bad, I say, oh, you crazy? The kind of thing she do for this country, she overdo for this country. Over too much. Extra too much. That's extra.
Extra, you hear that? Extra.
Extra, she did very much.
Read all about it.
Well, I think that in regards to if an election should call tomorrow, the UNC going back into the place of power, I think that based on their history in regards to managing government funding, I think they have shown themselves to be really incompetent in many areas. And in the present state of the economy right now, I don't see they're really doing a whole lot.
So despite the criticisms of the current administration, do you believe that they can actually stay in power? Let's say election were to be called tomorrow and they will be there for another 5 years?
Well, if people really weigh the thing out properly, based on the present condition I'm talking about that the last administration got the economy in, I think that's just it. Yeah.
So right now it's a matter of fixing the mess, more or less?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
What are your reasons?
My really.
Yeah, what are your reasons? Why do you think people are willing to say, you know what?
I think because she was doing good and better, people was living better all the time in her times. And if she continued with it, they would have supported her. Yes. And the country would have been better.
So people are willing to forgive. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So thus far, we've had some very interesting views on the question that we posed this morning. And even though we are in the constituency of Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissessa, right on the outskirts of, right outside of her office, of course, this being the penal area, there are those who are, they do not believe that she has what it takes to lead the country for another 5 years. Whereby there are those who are saying, yes, she has, give her a chance. The healing has begun. Yeah. Yeah, that clip with me leaning up on the post, you'll see that tomorrow what really went on there. Very interesting responses indeed. It gets a little more heated in part 2 tomorrow. Yeah, some people got very rowdy, but very honest with their comments. One particular comment I wanted to draw to people's attention. Can't come at me right now, but nevertheless, I want to thank everyone, of course, who participated in those interviews. As I said, we have lots more tomorrow, God's willing, all surrounding the question of, the leadership of Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and if, they believe she has what it takes. As you can see, very interesting mix of comments, but even later on in the interviews tomorrow, people had a whole lot more to say. So stay tuned for that part 2 tomorrow right here on Cloud.Nine on ACTN. We'll be right back. Keep it locked.
The devil's the accuser of the brethren. And he hates marriage because marriage is the image of God. He hates marriage is because it's the most sacred institution on earth. God created marriage in Genesis chapter 1. It is the first institution he ever created, and it's the foundation for every other institution on earth. And he's a strategist. He understands if he can destroy marriage, he can destroy all of society.
Hi, welcome back to Cloud.Nine on ACTN. Thank you, of course, for staying with us today on this motivational Monday. And as I mentioned earlier on, we will give you more about we will address the outcome of the meeting with the Prime Minister and stakeholders taking place later today, as well as part 2 of our interviews in Penal. Of course, part of the constituency of the MP, that Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and leader of the opposition. Tomorrow it gets heated. Let's go to our silver lining at this time. I want to give you an update rather, on Halima Mohammed. As you knew, she was she was a child that was turned down by the board of the Children's Life Fund. And then some people stepped in. And then reportedly, as people stepped in, some people jump out themselves, it would seem. So last week, we interviewed Dr. Ramesh Mathura, who is one of the leading hematologists in Trinidad and Tobago, surrounding Halima Mohammed, but more so in the context of the condition that she suffers with, to determine the critical window that is needed generally for someone who is suffering with this particular blood disorder. It is called beta thalassemia. And after, the mother made her plea. There was a donation by donations by several business entities. One of them from Movie Town. Let's get that clip up, please, if we can. All right. And this would have been over the weekend. All right. Thank you for saving Halima. Right. And I think over, Mr. Stephen Chin. That's the son, I believe, of the owner of Movie Town. Donated $20,000. And others donated, raising, of course, the $400,000. But then another story popped up in the media, and I'm reading it as is, so no one could quote me and then want to sue me, right? It started off as an inspirational story of generosity and selflessness exhibited by people who donated to help send 5-year-old Halima Muhammad to India for critical surgery. Now it has degenerated into a war of words between Halima's parents and businessman Inshan Ishmael over who donated the most. Halima's mother, Crystal Muhammad, told the media that she is now considering giving back every cent raised by Ishmael. Just one day earlier, Muhammad expressed gratitude to people who donated to raise the $400,000 needed for Halima to undergo treatment in India for the beta thalassemia, which is a blood disorder. Halima had been denied funding from the Children's Life Fund Authority, which said the condition was not life-threatening. On Friday, several corporate entities made donations, including businessman Stephen Chin, who presented the $20,000 check. I am going to be very brief with this one. Realign our mind. I don't understand, now all of this, again, I'm just basing this on the article, why it is, if something is being done from the goodness of our heart, that there needs to be an argument spewing. Because all that is doing, now this is my perception, all you're doing there right now is taking up a needle with poison ivy and just injecting it into that child's hands. Because I do not see how this is going to help. Because we have to understand everything is connected. And if this is the spiritual energy that people are going forth with, where this child is concerned, then all of that is going to affect, or when you're bringing in negative energy, negative influences. And you do not want that surrounding. What we should be lifting up here is not our voices in argument, but lifting up our voices in prayer for her, so that when she goes for the surgery, all goes well. There are no missteps. There are no instances of any botched procedure. But no, allegedly we are seeing voices being raised in argument. So life and death in the power of the tongue. If you speak anger, and you speak animosity, and you speak bitterness and whatever, then that is what you are going to, that is what's going to fall upon the child. So I'm just saying, whether, I'm not taking sides with Inshan, or I'm not taking sides with the mother, I'm just giving my advice based on the article that is in the newspaper, because it's already out there. If indeed there are some arguments brewing, throw it away. Take the brew and throw it on the side. Throw it in the drain. Let it wash down. Just some water. And let us lift our voices to pray for her. I am grateful that the business community came out, and I'm also making a plea to the private health institutions to, it's not a competition thing, but realign your mind and start to see, okay, what can we do to also contribute to some of these cases? Because I remember having the new board of the Children's Life Fund on then when some of these issues came up about how some children were being turned down, and they too have their challenges. We gotta be real about it, because we know there were some discrepancies, allegedly so, with the fund, and they too have their challenges. So my thing is, if we're really our brothers and sisters' keeper, then we need to keep on keeping on and help our brothers and sisters in need. So the private healthcare institutions, you all also have a role to play in assisting where the Children's Life Fund may not be able to for one reason or another. And that is the point I'm making. Right? So just as, several entities came together for Halima, There are several other cases on the waiting list, which for one reason or the other cannot be attended to. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but I'm saying if you have the money, bless someone. Bless a child. You will be blessed tenfold. I guarantee you that. So that brings us more or less to the end of the show today. Thank you very much for all, of course, the continued support. Continue to go on Facebook and you'll see updates on the various programs, HCTN The Voice, Cloud.Nine, all the other programs. We're also on YouTube as well. Of course, those looking on the evening, which I know has a very high viewership. Thank you so very much for your support. Be back with you tomorrow. As I said, part 2, we in Penal. Yeah. Hey, Alopai Lash. Alopai man, $2. Telling you, $2. Yeah, you go see more. Everybody in Port of Spain, if you think you don't have $2, I'll pay again. $2. It's best. And it ain't small note, regular size. Be good to yourselves. We close off again with this gentleman who I came across recently through my wife. Thank you very much. David G. A true worship leader indeed. I hope this song blesses your heart. It's called Yahweh. Take care. God bless.